welcome back for another Tune It Up Tuesday. Today we're going to discuss the Marshall TSL 100 and the versatility of the amp. What you're listening to here is I'm actually playing with the speakers muted, and we're coming out through the PA system. And that's one of the advantages of this amp, being able to shut these speakers down and still have the full functionality of the amp running to my mixer or even to a recorder. It really allows you to get everything this amp is capable of producing, and boy, does it sound good. It's just sitting right there at the breakover point. Alright, let's go over a couple of features of the amp. This is the Marshall JCM triple super lead, and some of the functionality of it, specifically if you're doing recording and things, this amp is set and ready to go. We're going to start right here with the output mute. And what that gives you, when you're running the output mute, you have the full functionality of the amp running out of, in the back here, an XLR cable to your mixer board or your recorder. And it just absolutely, at that point, you can now turn this amp up at full volume. If you see, we're sitting here almost at 10, and I am pushing this out through the PA system in the front and able to control the input to the mixer as well as what's coming out. So that gives me the true 100 watts of this amp pushing to the PA system. And you can really dial this thing in. I mean, excellent for recording because of that function. Now you don't have these things at 100 watts. If you have this amp sitting like it is here on top of these cabinets, this thing will rip your head off. I mean, it's a lot to take. Typically, if I'm sitting down here playing or practicing, I will normally run my gain at about halfway on channel number 3, and my output volume will be down and around just under 3, and most of the time I run it on 2. Using the cabinets, that makes this amp just sing. Since I have the cabinets muted, that's allowing me to run directly into the board, and I can set this thing up a lot hotter and be able to get the actual value of the 100 watts of the tube watts here and be able to actually use that. They did think about home recording, studio recording, as well as live music application. The next thing you have here is your VPR button, which if you wanted to run your cabinets open, this will actually break this down into a 25 watt amp for you. Again, so that's allowing you to turn your volume, your gain up, and utilize the amp and still not pushing at full power, and be able to actually get the functionality of all your tubes. All 4 power amp tubes are still working, all your preamp tubes are still working, and that absolutely is a nice feature. Next up we have the deep. We're getting into the EQ side of things now, but the deep button will simply give you a little bit more bass presence, and that's all preference. You can set this amp up any way you choose, as well as we're getting into the presence. You can run that up to a little bit if you want a little higher frequency or lower frequency. Another really cool thing about this amp, if you're using the sends and returns on the back of it for your effects mix, you have control of that right here. You can absolutely get everything pushed in there the way you want it, and then you have a actual volume control for the send and return. You can just come over to the amp, dial it in, as well as down on the footboard. It does have a button to turn your effects on and off. So that's just simply another great feature that they have put in there that it just makes it easy. If you're playing live music, you can walk over and step on the effects pedal. Anything you have to the sends and returns is going to make a nice blend for you. You can dial it right in. So, and another nice thing about this amp is it does have reverb on it. That's nice in a 100 watt tube amp, that you can actually get some reverb going. And then your basic controls, so you got your bass, mids, and treble. The next up is we do have a mid scoop button here, and you can push that in and actually change the focus of your mid-range knob, and that will give you an adjustment too, as to the bass and the treble and the bass, to dial your tone in. And then you have your volume, your main output, as well as our gain stage. Now, setting in channel 3, the gain setting up close to 10 here. This amp has an absolute killer amount of gain. It just really does sound good. Okay. The last button we have over here is just simply, if you didn't have your foot switch plugged up, you can have control of the amp up here as far as switching your channels. This is a perfect amp if you're doing home recording. This thing is extremely functional. Marshall really did attempt to make this amp be capable of covering pretty much anything you wanted to do, from home recording to live applications. This amp has been around for a while, and there's plenty of them out there still to be found. So if you guys get a chance, specifically if you're doing home recording and things like that, I don't think you'd be disappointed in this amp. It really is functional, and you can absolutely dial this thing in however you need to, and so you don't have all that volume running out the front of it. And truly, I mean, we all know, you know, miking a cabinet, if you're recording with it, you get various applications there as well. But this is a solution that Marshall came up with in order for you to use the amp at full volume, full output, and not kill your neighbors. Because you get this thing running up on 10 wide open. Now listen, it's more than I can take down here in our building. This thing really does put out some volume. Okay, and then the next thing, thinking about that in a live application, or again your studio, they also put in this VPR, which is virtual power reduction, and that allows full functionality of the amp, and then turns this thing down to about 25 watts. So you still have all 4 output valves running, but you're running down to about 25 watts. And I always keep this button engaged. That allows me to run the amp a little bit hotter if we're playing live music down here, and it really does make a difference. So again, Marshall was thinking about, you know, being able to utilize the amp and still not have all that excessive volume. That really is a nice feature. And this amp does produce a really nice clean tone. Whatever style of music you're playing, you're going to like it. Alright, let's take a listen to channel 2. I've got the gain setting in right at 8. I'm trying to run it pretty hot for us. It just has that Marshall sound. Everything right there, and again, not having to touch the amp, running straight into the mixing board, that's an advantage. You can dial this thing in any way you choose to. Let's take a listen to channel 3 now. Channel 3, it's the hottest stage of the amp, and by the time you've gotten there, I mean, this thing sounds good. And again, all coming out through the front here, through the mixing board. I'm sitting here and absolutely enjoying playing, and I don't have this thing just absolutely cracking me on the back of the head with all the volume. That's going to be an advantage for you, because you can control your stage volume but get what you need running out the front. And that's a big advantage when you're playing live music or when you're recording as well. So if you feel the need to have to set this thing outside or lock it into a soundproof closet in order to get the tone you're looking for, maybe this is a solution for you. And now again, I can run another mic up here, throw it in front of the speaker cabinet. Any way I choose to mic the cabinets, send it over to the mixer or the recorder, and do that as well. You know, I mean, there's a reason these amps sound good, and you know, we all are looking for the most value we can get on stage or in the studio and still be able to utilize the amp. Okay? I hope this video has been helpful for you in some way. It's definitely been fun to make for you. Again, you get one of those amps, one of these guitars running, you're going to be happy with it. And that I'll almost guarantee you. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.